Living in a cage with invisible walls, the wicked zeitgeist of life making grown men crawl on their knees begging please save us from the boogeymen, funded by the CIA, funneled through Arabian banks like a shank to the neck. They hit you from the back, no sweat, hold check and watch you shake and take away your freedom. You really don't need them when you're tucked away safe and protected by FEMA. Man, you must be a dreamer like the great pretender. Ask the Second Amendment, why I'll never surrender, but I'll never plead the Fifth. When it comes to September, I'ma yell it from the roof and expose the agenda. It's time to wake up and open your eyes to the matrix. This is going out to the truthers and patriots, living free and dying hard, speaking through battle scars.
It's just the greatest joy of my life to watch those pale, disgusting, pasty faces fall into complete and utter desolate sadness as I take away not only their guns, but their culture and their hopes and dreams. I hate the white man. He's of the devil. He was made in a cave in the worst parts of Europe, produced from the lowest forms of humanity.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't let Obama be successful when it comes to starting civil unrest and riots in this country. They will use that as a civil emergency to bring in a type of soft martial law like Europe has done after they brought in all the jihadis and allowed them to attack. The stage is set for classical martial law in the United States. George Soros, who's overthrown many other countries using similar divide and conquer tactics, is on record funding Black Lives Matter and other groups, and the mainstream media is trying to exacerbate tension in local communities. And out of this crisis, they intend to bring in the, quote, Strong Cities UN initiative that globalizes, internationalizes local government. It's political correctness intimidating people to submit to this international takeover. Now, it's been known for a long time, and it's come out in federal court, that many of the militias, though they're constitutional and made up of great people, end up getting infiltrated and led in many cases by federal provocateur, or even worse, by foundation provocateurs like the Southern Poverty Law Center that ran Elohim City, where the reported Oklahoma City bombing got hatched, which we know was an inside job, major false flag. 2016 is here, ladies and gentlemen. It is already the 4th. And all hell is breaking loose in the stock market, militarily overseas, so many issues. And the establishment is going to want a political diversion here in America. And they've been putting out the talking points that white terrorists are about to start attacking, that white terrorists are about to be involved in insurrection, while pushing the military, pushing veterans, pushing citizens of all race, colors, and creeds with more and more federal occupation, more and more federal tyranny. So let's be clear. We're about to go in here and show you some of the articles here in a moment. The Bundys and others have very legitimate issues with the federal power grab over land outside of law, and people doing controlled burns and being called arsonists and people being charged. The federal government is power grabbing everywhere. It's true. It's lawless. It's shutting down power plants outside of law. It's opening borders outside of law. It's funding ISIS and Al-Qaeda outside of law. But all that's coming out, and the establishment is in political trouble right now. So they want to overturn the chessboard right now. We need Americans to realize we're all being played off against each other. And to watch the weaponized media on MSNBC and other places absolutely promoting race war in this country is out of control. That's why I'm here in Phoenix, and I'll tell you later in the broadcast, David Knight will, who I'm interviewing, a key individual to hopefully work with to try to calm tensions, to try to bring America together if it's possible. I mean, that's how serious the situation is that I'm working around the clock. I know a lot of people that are good inside the Pentagon that are working around the clock, good people in the Secret Service, but good people at the grassroots level of every race, color, and creed, liberal, conservative, libertarian, Muslim, you name it, who understand the larger globalist program for destabilization. We all have differences. We all have real beefs with each other. Nothing's perfect. Okay, and America has a lot of problems, but the globalists want to use those problems to basically bring it down into a truly fascistic system of total control. Let's go inside and look at some of these articles. Right here. CNN to provide an hour of airtime to Obama's gun control pitch today. Town hall, full pitch, and what it's really about is executive power outside of law. Then the even more hardcore gun control, I predict, is coming after this, but this is unprecedented. The Hammonds, excellent article by Kurt Nimmo, targeted because government wants to steal their land. The entire story by Kurt Nimmo of how they stole the land, how they're stealing other people's land, how it's criminal, how it's wrong, how they've persecuted them. Absolutely, they've been wronged. Absolutely. My issue is the timing of this now allows the whole debate to not be about the gun grab, to not be about all the gun control, to not be about the victim disarmament, but to be about citizens with guns taking over buildings. It's an empty wildlife refuge building. The feds are grabbing everybody's property in the area. They're the ones with armed force out of control. But again, it's the federal government, not even the feds on the ground that are the problem. It's the whole UN Agenda 21. But read that article, you'll understand it. Then the other perspective. People are asking on InfoWars, well, why are you pro-Bundy and then anti-Bundy? We're not. We're showing both sides. And Paul Watts has written an article that's on DrudgeReport.com. Oregon standoff could boost Obama's gun control push.
Just the other day, President Obama told federal agencies to step up research into smart gun technology and has asked the Department of Defense, the Justice Department, as well as the Department of Homeland Security to sponsor research into gun safety technology. At CES this year, one company is already ahead of the curve with a biometric gun lock. The Identilock, which will begin to ship this summer, costs $319 and allows users to unlock their weapon with their fingerprint in under a second. Once the fingerprint registers and is authenticated, the lock falls off the trigger portion of the gun, allowing the user to fire. The gun lock is meant to prevent accidental discharge and, of course, preventing it from getting into the wrong hands of the user. The lock has a lifespan of half a year and only takes 2 hours to charge via USB. What's special about this gun lock, however, is that it's essentially air-gapped. It doesn't rely on an app or a computer. Several users can directly register their fingerprints to the device, while different profile settings allow one super user to change permissions of other users associated with the lock. The Identilock is the only smart gun lock at CES this year, but maybe next year at CES we'll see more smart gun technology, thanks to the recent initiatives by President Obama.
Some experts say potential refugees go through intensive screening with multiple agencies looking for biographic and biometric information.
I found out that agencies will check the name and date of birth of the refugee who's applying. Officials will also check fingerprints, checking to see if someone has a criminal record or if they've applied for a visa elsewhere.
Definitely outside the box, but it's convenient.
One area of business is shaking up how we pay for things.
You don't need your phone, you don't need your keys, you don't need a scan card.
It's the first cash register of its kind in the Midwest, and it's right here in Rockford.
A lot of people don't want to bring in their wallets, don't want to bring in any cash.
There are challenges with privacy. How many ever worry about your privacy online? Yeah, big data is great, but of course it's a form of soft surveillance. I don't know if you saw this over here, but recently in Europe, Samsung Television warned the users of its smart TVs, did you see this? And said, please be aware that our voice recognition technology can record private conversations in your living room, and because that information then is stored in the cloud, it can be accessed by third parties. Talk about George Orwell. We now have the Epicenter workstation in Sweden, which is encouraging its workers to have a microchip placed under their skin. They say that this will allow people to use the security doors. It allows them to use the photocopy machine, allows them to pay for lunch at the canteen or using the microchip. It sounds convenient. The problem is, though, that any programmable device is, in theory, hackable. So we have to think, do I want my body to become a hackable device?
Saying this yesterday, as soon as we had the news early in the morning, this had started Saturday night. Kurt Niemiec had already written about it Saturday night. And obviously, by the time I looked it up, they were already blaming the Second Amendment. It's obvious. It's the timing of this, okay? Plus, the Hammonds say they don't want the Bundys there. That's another problem. It was the grazing rights of the Bundys in southern Nevada. That's why we supported them. They were in the right completely, okay? Continuing, liberal media tweets call for National Guard cops to confront the wildlife refuge occupiers. Many liberals want Waco-style response to government. They want them killed. See, it's all about race war. These are the Soros White House operatives already trying to make this racial when it has nothing to do with race. We're literally walking into their trap, and you know there's provocateurs there on the ground, probably not even from the FBI, but from the big foundations, just like we exposed Hal Turner and others. So continuing, the article is up on Infowars.com. You want the real breakdown of what's happening, there it is. Continuing, you heard this. This is the talking point just a few weeks ago. MSNBC, white terrorists, not San Bernardino terrorists, not Islamic terrorists, white terrorists are the problem.
But yet, you look at the data of white men with guns wreaking havoc on this country. Why aren't white men all coming forward? Why don't you call on them to do that?
Boom. So it's all white men. They're the ones wreaking havoc, even though statistically it's one of the lowest crime rates out there. Meanwhile, radical Muslims invade churches, throwing Christians out and beating them up in Germany. Articles, mainstream news, link in the article, Infowars.com. So that's what's really unfolding here. And then meanwhile, they want to distract from coming after our guns. They want to distract from the stock market plunging 450 plus points. They want to distract from all the things that are happening with this, quote, armed takeover that's happening. The FBI says they seek a peaceful end. Armed group vows to stay at Oregon Refuge. This is, again, an unfolding situation that we will be breaking down in great detail. Meanwhile, we've got machete-wielding man vandalizes mosque, leaves bacon at the door. This is part of the artificial clash of civilizations that Dick Cheney wrote about in the PNAC documents back in 2000, Rebuilding America's Defenses, Project for the American Century. They said, we're going to help radicalize Muslims, get them funding, do all this stuff. You know, we need a big catalyzing attack in the West. This transcends administrations. The Democrats do it too. We're going to use this crisis then to invade the world, create a Pax Americana. But the real betrayal is it's not even a Pax Americana, an American empire. It's a globalist empire that we get the blame for. We get sucked dry and then we collapse. So that's the breakdown. David Knight's coming up with more. A little bit later in the broadcast, we will tell you exactly why I'm here in Phoenix once the interview is underway for security reasons. It's great to have so many wonderful listeners out there, but I mentioned I was flying to Phoenix yesterday before I took off, and there were folks at the airport waiting for us, which was great to see them. It's just that obviously the show is so giant now that not everybody out there listening are good guys. So again, Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com. Paul Watson's hosting the 4th hour today. Back to David Knight in the Infowars News Center. I'll be hosting the show tomorrow from Phoenix, Arizona. But back to David Knight in the Infowars News Center. Let's work together to try to stop what could brew into a controlled civil war, to bring in civil emergency. Let's keep the focus on the fact they're coming after our guns. Let's keep the focus on the fact they're opening our borders. Let's do like the governor said, come and take it from Texas. Governor Abbott over the weekend. With state authority saying no, that's what we need. Not these takeovers of an empty building that's perfect for then feds from all over the country to now infiltrate, stir stuff up, God knows do what. I mean, it's textbook. And anybody saying we shouldn't watch out for infiltrators, anybody saying we shouldn't be concerned for people calling for violence or unrest or civil disobedience is major league suspect. They're either as dumb as the day is long, or they are playing to somebody else's tune, ladies and gentlemen. 1776 is an idea. We're winning the info war right now. We do not want this to get physical, but if it does, let them shoot first. If they mean to have a battle, as they famously said at Bunker Hill, then let it start here today. Well, it already has started in the info war. We're winning. Let's not give the big foundations and Soros and the Southern Poverty Law Center and ADL what they want. They say the big war with Patriots is coming. They say they've given them the armored vehicles and that they're going to have war with us any minute. Let's not light the fuse for them, folks. Let's document everything that's happening. They'll undoubtedly are going to pull false flags. It's the season for it. It's in the cards. It's the right time for them to do it. I get in their mind and kind of look at what they would do. We need to be working hard to stop any terror attacks, working hard to frustrate them, provocateuring, but also, if something does happen, we need cameras there instantly to document everything. You are troops in the battle for this republic. You are troops for humanity's future freedom worldwide. No matter who you are, get involved. Realize how important you are. Realize how much you're needed in your corner of the world to be watching and to be listening and to be taking action. And when you see something like a foreign global takeover of America, when you see them destroying our liberties and spying on us and forced inoculations, when you see something tyrannical, when you see them land grabbing, when you see them teaching kids their parents aren't their parents in public schools, when you see tyranny, say something. We are saying something.
Stand for New World Order.
Titus Colbert refused to acknowledge he understood his constitutional rights at his hearing Friday. He's charged with attempted murder on 3 peace officers and 3 counts of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. He didn't stay for the entire arraignment because he kept shouting at the judge.
I will not be subject to criminal abuse.
Prosecutors say he was armed with 2 rifles and a revolver Wednesday when he shot at officers from inside his ex-girlfriend's Bankers Hill apartment. Investigators say at one point he threw 2 guns out of the window. Authorities say they found 17 shell casings inside the apartment, but it's unclear exactly how many shots were fired. The shooting led to a 5-hour standoff which prompted school lockdowns and flights being suspended at Lindbergh Field. His family would not answer our questions about what may have led up to the incident. Their only comment was, "Jesus is Lord."